Sweet thoughts.
The Roses.
And when LeBron is saying he doesn't want the Cavs to trade Kyrie, and also the case for and against Cody Bellinger, MVP.
Good enough.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
In the last 24 hours, yes, he's good enough, he's smart enough, and he's tweeting them out. LeBron, he's welcomed Derrick Rose. He's seen Girls Trip and was dying laughing. And he booed the reporting and sources of the LeBron is eager for Cavs to trade Kyrie story and LeBron wants to beat Kyrie's ass story. National panel, 2 questions. Is LeBron saying Girls Trip is a must-watch, because that's news I can use? And also, is he saying the Cavs shouldn't trade Kyrie Irving? Mina Kimes, start us off.
LeBron's tweets tell me, yes, Girls Trip is a must-see, and that he is trying to play it both ways. You know, on one hand, he's tweeting videos of himself in a bucket hat looking downwards like the world's saddest New Radicals fan. And the other hand, he's tweeting that all these reports are fake news. Well, I call fake news on you, LeBron. I firmly believe that he is upset about the Kyrie deal, but he wants to keep his options open in case the Cavs can't get a point guard to replace Kyrie. He knows that he will have to bring him back in the fold if they want to contend.
Woody Page, what's LeBron saying here?
Well, he doesn't want Irving to leave. I mean, he's gotten to the last 2 finals and won one with Irving by his side. And if you look at Irving's point production, he had a great year this past year. And despite what he thinks, he actually dominated the ball in terms of shots more than LeBron did. So I think LeBron is not concerned with beating him up. I think he wants to play alongside him for another year. He'd like for him to change his mind. If he has Derrick Rose there and Irving, I think that they could coexist in the backcourt even. I'd like to see the two of them play together at least for 20 minutes a game. So I think that's exactly what LeBron wants is let's keep it together and we'll get back again.
Is that how you see it, Sarah Spain?
Well, first of all, I see this as great for us. It may be terrible for the Cavs, but this high school drama, he said, she said, this source, this camp, all of this stuff has me feeling very, my best friend's sister's boyfriend's girlfriend is going out with this guy who's hanging with this girl who saw Ferris pass out at 31 Flavors last night. It's like, how do we keep track of all the sources? And if you remember, the second half of that beat your ass quote that he disagreed with was that LeBron is mostly mad because Kyrie is making people talk about how he's the reason that Kyrie wants to leave. So in this case, he goes on Twitter and says, oh no, false reports. I've got nothing to do with this. I'm a great teammate. I'm a good guy. I'm not the reason he wants to leave. And then, as Mina said, he can play it both ways. If they can't trade him, he can act like it wasn't his fault. And if they can, he can say he was an upstanding teammate who got blindsided.
So when you first heard LeBron wants to beat up Kyrie Irving, that was coming from LeBron's camp, of course. What did you think, Sarah?
Oh, I mean, I thought that would be a completely unfair fight and that Kyrie should get traded immediately.
No, I don't mean legitimately if they were to square up. I mean, did you believe it to be true? Did you believe that that's how LeBron felt? Kevin, same question to you, and then how you interpret it through the Twitter from LeBron over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, that's some brothers sitting in the basement at the crib watching the game. The news comes across, and LeBron says to somebody, man, I'll kick his you-know-what. And that's just the way it came across. That's just anger to the moment. And I believe these tweets also are true because they're speaking to the fact that, one, LeBron's apparently an old-school metrosexual in his movie selections. And two, he really wants Kyrie to stay around because, as Woody pointed out, guess what? Kyrie led the team in shots taken. Remember, Kyrie hit the big shot to win the ring in Cleveland. So he's been a great teammate. I don't see how LeBron gets a crown on his head as being the bad teammate in this relationship. He's done well. Everybody can't be LeBron, and it's pretty good bringing Kyrie Irving, I think.
Spain back in.
Yeah, I think we need to note, though, that LeBron has spent years making demands, criticizing, complaining, and we've been okay with that. And as soon as Kyrie takes some agency, suddenly we're like, what a bad dude. You should be thankful that LeBron took you this far. Also, I don't think you need to be a metrosexual to like a movie that's head by women. I think everybody can enjoy women-driven movies.
There you go, Kevin. I don't think you're going to argue with that.
No, I wasn't.
No, that's sure.
Metrosexual.
Adam Silver, and this is a point you said earlier, Sarah. Adam Silver on Rich Eisen's radio show said he feels bad for Cleveland, and this is not necessarily the kind of drama the league wants. Okay, B, you look like you think that's funny. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we don't want all these people at our restaurant. Too many people. We'd be making too much money. Stop it, Adam Silver. Come on. This is free publicity. Think about it. NFL training camp is opening this week. The big talk in Cleveland usually this time would be the Browns. And here we are talking about off-season that's really not even happening with the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is great news for the NBA. They've got a hot stove going on that baseball would love to have back right now. They figured it out.
Yeah, Adam Silver is so angry that the NBA is trending on Twitter every day. If there is one grain of truth in that, it is I do believe they want Cleveland to stay contenders just so that Golden State has a counterpart in the league.
Yeah, that might be the best point made here in this. Last thing, just gut, because I didn't have you guys on when the trade report was first made. Didn't have you on yesterday except for Woody. Do you think this trade is actually going to go down? Do you think Cleveland at some point is going to be like, you know what, just deal with it. Deal with each other for the next 9 months. Let's get to the playoffs and make the finals again. Gut for you, Kevin Blackistone.
My gut is that it goes away. Kyrie's under contract for 2 more years and an option year.
Sarah Spain?
I think he stays.
Yeah, I think in the end they figure out that if they're almost positively going to lose LeBron next year, they don't want to lose both of them.
Woody, you said no trade yesterday. And Mina Kimes?
Yeah, I think LeBron makes things right just because there aren't better options out there.
Okay. Woody, you shook your head no. Then you nodded yes. You're like waving off signals here from me, but I think we all know. Okay, none of you think a trade's going to happen for Kyrie Irving. We're going to move on. Let's talk baseball. Cody Bellinger. He swings through the zone like he's taking a machete through the Amazon. Big home run last night, and the Dodgers win. MVP chance, a curtain call. It was his 28th of the season. Let's have that MVP conversation. Some pros for Bellinger, all those come from behind home runs like last night. Some cons, his WAR. He's 31st in the league and 5th on his own team in it. Also, only 2 rookies have ever won MVP. Woody, do Dodgers fans have this right? Is Bellinger deserving of MVP?
Absolutely. People will say, well, he's only played 80 games. Think about this. I saw them in the opening series of the year. That was a disjointed team. He came in and has made such a difference. They're 60-20 since he was called up. When he hits a home run, they're 20-2. He hits more than half of his home runs at the 7th inning or after. I mean, the guy has made such a difference for this team. And the most valuable player that I voted for years and years and years is on a winning team and is the best offensive player. Guess what? That defines him.
Sarah Spain, is that it for you?
Well, I think this comes back to the argument we always have about MVP, which is the semantics. Is this the best player in the league? Is this a great player on a great team? If you look at the Dodgers record, they were 9-11 before his call-up and 60-20 since they called them up. He's got the second most home runs in the NL, despite being called up in late April. So you can hold it against him that he didn't play a full season, but he's putting up the kind of stats that you'd hope from anybody in a limited or a full season. So while I think Bryce Harper is certainly putting up the numbers to be completely deserving of the award, I don't think it's ridiculous at all for us to think that Bellinger could be the 3rd rookie and the 1st in the NL ever to win MVP.
Okay, some of those stats going the other way. His batting average is under 270, and like I had said, he's 5th on his team in wins above replacement player. Kevin Blackistone, you want to get into there?
Well, Sarah mentioned the name Bryce Harper, and I'm not just saying it because I'm right here in D.C., but the man is batting .336, 75 RBIs, 114 hits, 25 home runs, having an unbelievable year. Is he on a better team? Not necessarily. Is he in a better lineup? Maybe. He's being protected very well, but he's delivering on all cylinders this year, and I just cannot see Cody Bellinger, and I don't hold when he came up against him, but the fact of the matter is Bryce Harper's been here since day one.
Mina Kimes, how about you?
I'm in Los Angeles, but I'm going to side with my colleague in D.C. The MVP is Bryce Aaron Max Harper. I mean, it's not just that he's crushing him in WAR. He's also number 1 in OPS. He's number 2 in OBP. And Tony, as you alluded to, his batting average is 60 points higher than Cody Bellinger. He is the guy. He was there in front of you all along. Don't get fooled by the shiny new object, guys.
Woody Page, you want to address that? Go ahead.
I'm just saying that if you take Harper out of the Nationals lineup with that division, they're still in first place. You take Bellinger out of the lineup, they're in 3rd place at best in that division.
They're up double digits right now on your Rockies and the Diamondbacks, right? Or around 10 games. Okay, maybe, but maybe not. It's going to be a toss-up. I think it's going to play out for the last 2 months of the season. I think we can agree on that. Let's talk about the American League MVP while we're here then. Does anybody know what Jose Altuve is hitting in July?
Yeah, over 500.
Exactly, Woody. 507. Aaron Judge has the 32 home runs, but Altuve is, 507 for an entire month. Who's the more deserving MVP in the American League, Sarah Spain?
Well, if we're giving it out for the month, then that's Altuve, but I don't think that's how the award works. And listen, Judge leads in most of the major categories. He has a lot more strikeouts than Altuve, but he has more than double the home runs in 39 fewer at-bats. And I think the thing that's mostly going to hurt Altuve is that he's got 2 MVP-type candidates on his own roster in Correa and Springer, and that might not only take away some of his votes, but might convince people that he's working with so much protection and with other guys, whereas Judge is kind of alone out there with the Yankees doing these amazing things.
Blackstone?
Yeah, but how about Altuve? He's like half as big as Aaron Judge and has just about half as many home runs. He's batting .365, 138 hits. This guy is a hitting machine. He gets overlooked every single year. 3rd in MVP voting last year. 4th year he's led the league in hits. Give this man his due. Give him a trophy.
Mina Kimes?
I love this fight. It's like the mountain versus the viper, and it's really close. Altuve, has an excellent batting average. He just edged Aaron Judge in WAR, but I'm going to go with Judge for now because he is leading in almost every other category. He is the better defender. I do believe it'll go down to the wire, though.
Woody Page?
Well, obviously, these 2 women have not read the good book, and I'm not talking about Baseball Reference. I'm talking about the Bible. You would have both taken Goliath because he was good looking. Altuve is David against Goliath, and guess what? David is winning. With his rocks, he's winning. He's the best offensive player. Ask me if you've heard this before. Best offensive player on the best team in the league, and he's playing out of his mind.
All right.
It's not just 1 month, Sarah. It's been all year.
I think since Woody invoked the ladies and how they would respond before they had a chance to, now we can go to them, Sarah and Mina, after the horn.
I just pray that you look at the shiny new objects on this show better than the old ones. That's all.
Okay. All right. I don't even know if I want to invite a further discussion. We'll just take a break right here. Buy or sell is next.
Buy or sell.
I want to get your view of the developments in the Commonwealth of Virginia today and with the Dallas Cowboys. The case of Lucky Whitehead, a warrant for his arrest for shoplifting, came out this week. He was released by the Cowboys yesterday. Stephen Jones calling it a culmination of various issues in his body of work. Today, police said it was a case of mistaken identity. His warrant was rescinded. The case against Whitehead was dropped. But he's out of a job. Mina, how do the Cowboys look today?
Poor. I'm selling this. The Cowboys, also known as the team that signed Greg Hardy, have enough suspended players on their roster right now to form an entire practice squad. They are not exactly known for discipline, and this isn't about discipline or accountability. It's about talent and the amount of tolerance you get depending on who you are. There's a reason why Jerry Jones will throw himself in front of Zeke Elliott, but Lucky Whitehead gets cut. It's about talent. That's the NFL.
Woody Page?
Yeah. Well, the Cowboys don't look very good in this situation because they're saying that he was cut as a result of this and an accumulation of other happenings before last year. But the truth is they drafted a young wide receiver. They was going to be replaced anyway. You're right.
Sarah Spain?
Yeah, the Cowboys don't look great because inevitably, even whether it's fair or not, we're going to compare the other instances and issues that other players have and say, oh, they're still around and you got rid of this guy for something he didn't even do. The only people I would say look worse are the police who just let a guy with a really good memory who happened to know his name and his social security number convince them that he was Lucky Whitehead.
Date of birth, I think it was. And Kevin Blackstone, do you think the Cowboys just made an example out of an innocent man here?
Well, they made an example to the rest of their team, trying to look tough by kicking them off the squad. That was a rush to judgment, and once again, it's why I say, even in the Ezekiel Elliott case, let the court system play its way out before you make those judgments. And that's going to stick with Lucky for a very long time.
We'll move on. Buy or sell 2. Our Frankie Ice reported last night Carmelo Anthony's primary objective remains somehow getting to the Houston Rockets. But Bill Simmons, Scoop Simmons, says Melo and the Thunder are circling each other. Does the smoke lead Carmelo to Thunder, Woody?
No, not at all. He didn't want to play in Denver. Trust me. He doesn't want to go to Oklahoma City. He wants to go to Houston, where he can win a championship. Even if he got to Oklahoma City, they'd have to give up a lot in order to get him, and they would just barely be competing for home court advantage in the playoffs. Houston can win a championship.
Okay. Sarah Spain?
Listen, after Carmelo spent the better part of a year and a half digging his heels in New York, it feels like the only place that piqued his interest was the Rockets. Now that that's out there, all these other teams want in on it. But first of all, the Knicks have to be in on it too. And what are they going to trade him for? Doug McDermott and Jeremy Grant? They don't have any pieces to send. It's not going to happen.
KB?
Yeah, I'm much more likely to believe Frankie Ice. But I will say this. There is that little familiar type relationship in OKC with Weaver, the assistant GM, who's one of Carmelo's boys, and he helped get him to Syracuse and all that kind of stuff. We heard about that down in D.C. when they were trying to get Durant here, too.
And how'd that work out in D.C., getting Durant? Mina Kimes, how about you?
I don't know if I'm buying Melo in the Midwest, but I am buying the idea that it would be excellent for the team. Obviously, he would have to change his game. He wouldn't be ISO Melo. He'd need to be the number 3 option, and he's an excellent spot-up shooter. But we've seen that from him in the Olympics. He's capable of it. If he's willing, they would be a deadly, deadly offensive
So you're still
attack.
buying Melo at 33, going on 34 here, in a lineup with Westbrook and George.
As
and
the number
Melo.
3.
Yeah.
As the number 3, I am totally buying it.
We'll move on. Buy or sell number 3. Justin Verlander on the trade block. Quotes, "It's out of my control. There's a long way to go. I'm not really paying attention to it. I guess there might be a fleeting moment where you might say this might be the last time. All right, well, I appreciate it." Tigers, some are wondering if there's a fire sale coming. Some are wondering what the market is for Verlander. Is the timing right for Detroit to trade Verlander, Sarah?
Yeah, I think it's time for them to say goodbye to him. It's just very complicated. First, the Tigers have to say they're ready to say goodbye. Verlander has a no-trade clause, so he has to waive that and agree to go wherever they want to send him. And whenever that team he wants to get him has to take on that $56 million that he's owed, or at least a part of it if the Tigers are willing to pay for some of it. It's a lot of moving pieces, but I think in the end it's going to get done because it's time.
KB?
Yeah, absolutely, Tom. I mean, Verlander is not the pitcher he was 4 or 5 years ago. It's been 4 years since he was an All-Star, 5 years since he's had an ERA below 3. Absolutely time to move on to 34-year-old right-hander.
Had a good year last year. Finished the year runner-up in the Cy Young. Mina Kimes, how about you?
He did have a good year last year, but his ERA has increased by a lot, and it's not only increased year over year, it's increased month over month. This team should trade him. They are rebuilding. I do think some contenders will look at him. However, I don't think the Dodgers should, and they're being thrown around. They need an ace. They need Yu Darvish, not Justin Verlander.
So you take Darvish over Verlander here. You're not even calling Verlander an ace anymore. Woody Page, your view of it?
Any day.
Oh, yeah, just write him off. The guy was a runner-up to Cy Young. He's had a great career. He's having a down year. The Detroit Tigers are not any good. Of course they should trade him, get some prospects, and get out from under that contract, or most of it. Mina, by the way, if someone who grew up in Nebraska, I would think you'd know that Oklahoma City is not in the Midwest.
Where is it?
You know what? A different host of this show would be able to dock points or give points on that one. I'm gonna take a point away from Woody Page here because I'm close to agreeing that Oklahoma City is the Midwest. But again, wrong guy here. Sorry to say, Woody Page. We'll take a vote after.
Cowboy? Here in the West.
Page is done. Blackistone is done. Spain Kimes. Showdown next. Kimes, Spain showdown. If you ever wondered what it would be like if Mike Tyson was a boxing analyst,
he's going to get killed. McConnell put his dumb in a position where he's going to get knocked out. Because this guy's been doing this all his life since he was a little baby. And McConnell can't kick or grab and stuff. He's not going to stand much of a chance.
That was on Barstool's part of my take. And yes, that was Tyson calling him McConnor. Mina, you with the analyst Mike Tyson here?
I am. I know Conor McGregor slept at a boxing Holiday Inn Express, but I'm going to side with the guy who has decades of institutional expertise and just about every other boxing expert on the planet, by the way, who thinks he's going to get killed in this fight.
We all agree that he's going to get killed, at least beaten in this fight, but I don't agree when he called them dumb. This is a guy making $100+ million to do a sport he doesn't even play.
I think that might be what tips the scales there in Spain's favor. We'll give the point there. Showdown 2. If you told a crowd of 7,000 at Lambeau Field, quote, "It's going to be a lot of fun for all our fans to drive across the state when we're in the Super Bowl in Minneapolis, are you guaranteeing your team is going to the Super Bowl? Because Packers president Mark Murphy said that, and then when he had a chance to think about it and everybody was gone, he told the media it wasn't a guarantee. Spain, make a ruling here.
I like it. He said, my fans are going to be driving across over to Minnesota, and if they're going to be wearing their cheese heads and thinking that they own part of the team, they might as well be delusional enough to think they're going to the Super Bowl as well.
Delusional. I'm fine with it. Look, I don't know what we expect out of these guys for him to be like, yeah, we could make it to the Super Bowl as long as things break our way and injuries. Like, of course he's going to say they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. Of course he's going to predict victory. What else do we expect out of players, coaches, and GMs?
Delusional. Was that a little bit of Chicago Bear shade thrown at the Packers here? I think it was.
That was delusional.
Don't give it a point to Kimes. Real quick, Minnesota, Midwest or no Midwest? Mina, you tell us.
It's the Midwest. And
All right.
So today there was a study published by Dr. Ann McKee at Boston University. She looked at 111 NFL players' brains and found that 110 had CTE. Obviously, she said this is self-selecting, but it's undeniably comprehensive. And I think it sheds light on the fact that the NFL needs to continue investing in CTE. And not just investing money anywhere, but investing money in independent research like this, because we still have a lot to learn.
Thank you for that, Mina Kimes. That's going to do it from here. But before we leave, I want to take a look at Plasma 2. Can we do that for a second? Plasma 2, Woody Page.
Woody, fix your boxers. Fix your boxers.
No, the blackboard, the behind you.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
Terrible.
We're on a 23.5-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow.